Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Emerging Valley. It's a real pleasure for us to welcome you here at the camp for this edition, all about European African innovation and creating bridges between the two continents, as well as opening up to the world. We are very lucky today to have been awarded the high patronage of the President Emmanuel Macron, and I would also like to pay tribute to the ambassador, the Indian ambassador in France. So please put your hands together. He will be delivering a keynote speech, which will be very inspiring, I'm sure. So this year, Emerging Valley is at the cusp of a strategic moment. It is the capital, the European capital of innovation, has been awarded to Marseille last year, and this event really embodies the catalyst of innovation in Europe, where this is where we are inventing innovation, the innovation of tomorrow, given the challenges of today. To give life to this manifestation, I would like to pay tribute to our partners. First of all, the Aix-Marseille-Provence Metropolis, the Departmental Council of the Bouches-du-Rhône, the City of Marseille, and Euro-Méditerranée, as well as the sponsor partners that you can see up on the screen. So please put your hands together to thank all of our partners and sponsors.
Cette journée.
And this special day is even more special because we have been certified as part of the Mediterranean program, all about innovation, and the Mediterranean is the perfect opportunity to give life to these new projects. We are also going to be speaking about unprecedented subjects such as sport, among others. We have fantastic delegations that have made it here, especially from Kenya, as well as Togo, Rwanda, Morocco, Tunisia. And please put your hands together for these delegations, because we have hundreds of startups that are represented here during this fantastic event. Emerging Valley is made up of 3 stages. We have 150 speakers that are going to be speaking today to defending their ideas, co-innovating, and over these conferences you'll be able to see everything that's going on both in person and online. We have 2,000 people in total watching us today. So this territory is the most legitimate place to incubate high-impact entrepreneurs between Africa and Europe, and we are very much geared towards high-impact solutions. So please applaud yourselves for making it here today, because it is thanks to you that this event is possible. Without further ado, I'm now going to hand over to Mr. Laurent LHARDIT, who is the Deputy Mayor of Marseille. Please put your hands together. So we just have to adjust the microphones, because I'm not as tall as Samir. Dear ministers, I think that a lot of them are listening to us online. So dear Ambassador of India in France, Your Excellency, it is an honor to have you here today. Dear Vice Governor of Abidjan, dear colleagues, many of whom I have seen this morning, the representative of the Departmental Council, Mr. Samir Abdelkrim, my dear friend, and dear directors of companies and institutions, as well as dear participants, generally speaking. So the protocol is up. I'm really delighted to be here with you this morning to open the 7th edition of Emerging Valley. to represent the mayor of Marseille, Benoît Bayon, who put me in charge of being here to represent him. So it's just an opportunity that I'm very much looking forward to making the most of over this day. I'm going to start my speech once again by thanking the organizers of Emerging Valley. First of all, Emerging Valley founder Samer Gabdelkrim. So he has made possible years of meetings between entrepreneurs, and thanks to him, we are able to come up with challenges, solutions for challenges of tomorrow. And it is, of course, at the moment that we are going through a big crisis. This has been going on for several years, and therefore, as a result of this, innovation has become ever more important for us to try to deal with the situation. At the moment, there are many crises happening, but entrepreneurs as well as political representatives are supposed to be able to tackle challenges. The health crisis that we went through a few years ago ties into our activities, and more recently the conflict in Ukraine. So both sides of the Mediterranean have accelerated their approaches to try and make way to food and energy independency. Today, the acceleration of climate change is another great challenge, because we are fully aware now that we have less time than we hoped to oversee the transition, something which has now become ever more urgent. This is why African and European entrepreneurs coming here to Emerging Valley to come up with solutions to these problems is so important. So to do so, they continue to innovate, create services and products to benefit the populations of this world. Everyone is able to contribute. So there is a flash code on the screen, and therefore you'll be able to download the roadmap of the economic department of the city of Marseille. This shows us that innovation can be political, and Marseille, which was the economic capital of Europe, oversees innovation and entrepreneurship with regard to its inhabitants. The metropolis ex-Marseille Provence really cares about companies and its inhabitants. We work with associations who are some of the first change-oriented stakeholders. It is our ability to adapt that helps us become the driving force of the economic development in the region. This afternoon, there will be several round tables with many fascinating partners, and we'll be talking about the destiny of this incredible city, which is becoming the capital of creation, cinema, CCIs, among other things, by using its strength. It is made up of people from all over the world, especially from Africa, and it is a city that is able to welcome and host people, sometimes by necessity. People come here to become Marseillais. Over several thousand years, Marseille has never changed its vocation. It remains a platform of exchange between Africa and Europe. And this is for European companies that want to expand into Africa, and more, it is relevant in the opposite direction as well. This is why we think of Marseille as a springboard to accessing European funding and expansion into the African continent. I would just like to speak about one of the contributions that the city of Marseille has made within the context of Emerging Valley, and that is a new challenge that has come out of the acceleration of climate change, and this is all about adaptation. We know that it is too late to slow down climate change, but over the decades to come, we are going to have to come up with solutions here, just as like in other cities in the world, to enable the locals to continue to live, even despite the rising temperatures and rising sea levels. So what can we do? What kind of technological solutions can we come up with to tackle these challenges? What kind of social, political solutions can we come up to deal with the issues in the future? And I think that the solution is still escaping us. However, we are sure that it is you guys, entrepreneurs, and your ideas that will help us come up with solutions for the future. It is up to you to think, to design, to propose, in one word, to do business, to be entrepreneurs, and know that here in Marseille, you have a city and a local population that is committed to all of these challenges, that is aware of your value, and that will welcome you any day of the week. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor. I would now like you to put your hands together to welcome Mr. Vincent Languille. And then we have a small surprise, because we also have the honor of having the keynote speech from the President of the Côte d'Ivoire. So put your hands together for Vincent Languille.
Bonjour à tous, bonjour à tous.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dear Ambassador, dear Samir, dear friends and colleagues from Africa and elsewhere. On behalf of Martin Vassal, who is the president of the ex-Marseille Metropolis, it is a real honor for me to be able to open the 7th edition of Emerging Valley. My name is Mr. Ongui, and I'm delighted to be here. So, thanks to Samir and all of his teams for organizing this event at the Technopole here at the camp. So I would also like to pay tribute to Jawal Ashraf, who is the ambassador for India in France, who has given us the honor of being here today. This young metropolis, so from 2016, really cares about the local territory. It's made up of 92 cities with thousands, hundreds of thousands of citizens. It is made up of so many different individuals that contribute. It is one of the major economic hubs of France, and it is very much geared towards solutions. It has an international airport. It is one of the major ports in the Mediterranean. It is the 5th digital hub in the world. This is why it is fantastic for us to be able to come here and organize so many events in the local area, such as the Rugby World Cup, very soon the Olympic Games, with the sailing events happening in Marseille. And we are under the co-patronage of the President of the Republic, so that's a great honor as well. We have always supported the creation of Emerging Valley, which is a fantastic African tech-oriented event. We are one of the main partners. Indeed, Africa is one of the major challenges for our territory. We have a fantastic geopolitical location. We have lots of economic and cultural and historical relationships with Africa. Our metropolis has major advantages. It is one of the largest ports that links Africa to Europe. There are a lot of highly committed entrepreneurs, such as CMA CGA, as well as Airbus. So we support African companies such as AfricaLink, which generate 1.5 billion euros of turnover per year. So we have 5,000 African talents every year in France. The Aix-Marseille University is one of the largest French-speaking universities in the world. We have KEDGE, which is a business school as well, very high quality, and we benefit from a very vibrant ecosystem with 9 clusters, 6 certified techno hubs, 16 accelerators and incubators, among others. We also have institutions that you'll be hearing from soon this morning, the AFD, the IRD, which are partners of Emerging Valley as well. We have Anima Investment Network as well as Avitem. They are specialized in urban partnerships with the Mediterranean and Africa. And we have 350 African startups that apply for investment funds from these organizations very regularly. The unmissable event that Emerging Valley has become only speaks tribute of its success. We have 145 speakers that we're going to be hearing from today. We know that the resources are huge with regard to creating opportunities, creating employment on both sides of the Mediterranean. We look to value all of the talents that work in Africa. So we have a very strong relationship between Emerging Valley and the metropolis now, and this helps us bring to light projects such as Africa Innovation. So this positioning is really the foundation of the iCapital application that the ex-Marseille Provence won last year. So we were the European Capital of Innovation, and yesterday we were awarded the prize. So we awarded the prize to Lisbon in Marseille for the first time and not Brussels. So we have passed on the torch from Marseille to Lisbon. And this is a particularly inspiring moment. We are here to continue this journey with Africa and the hub-based relationship that we have. We have Africa Connect to value these entrepreneurs, as well as the consortium of partners within the context of the Soft Landing Africa Connect program. It's a fantastic scheme that we have in the territory, as well as the ex-Marseille Provence metropolis. Some of our representatives will be speaking later on the stage too.
In Provence, and to help you. All the team, Nicolas and Paul here, will help you. C'est pourquoi je ne peux pas.
This is why we cannot forget the fact that the application was based on innovation. We have a fantastic diaspora that is very involved, and there are some great networking opportunities as well. So Martine Vassal, our president, who is the leader of a company herself, she understands all of the issues and has helped create some of the outreach and synergies that pervade this territory. This is why we want to renew partnerships such as these every year. This is a fantastic place for us to be able to embody the richness of the local communities.
Vous avez cité effectivement le partenariat.
Indeed, you have mentioned the historical partnership that we have, so Martine Vassal. And I would also like to pay tribute to Mr. Benoît Payan, who unfortunately couldn't be here, not forgetting Laurent Karadec. But not only, we're also very lucky to be able to hear from Mr. Olivier BECHT, who is going to give his speech. He is a delegate minister of foreign trade and economic attractiveness. So please put your hands together for Olivier BECHT.
Édition du sommet Emerging Valley. C'est cependant une vraie satisfaction de voir cet événement devenu l'un des rendez-vous de référence pour les échanges entre entreprises africaines et européennes dans le domaine des nouvelles technologies rayonner et poursuivre sa très belle trajectoire. Je voudrais saluer cette année l'implication croissante des collectivités territoriales, en particulier dans vos territoires, en faveur du développement des synergies entre l'Afrique et l'Europe. Sous la houlette de la présidente Martine Vassal, je pense à l'engagement du conseil départemental des Bouches-du-Rhône, ainsi qu'à celui de la métropole d'Aix-Marseille-Provence. L'un et l'autre jouent un rôle essentiel de trait d'union entre l'Europe, la Méditerranée, Mare Nostrum, notre mer, et le continent africain. Je prendrai l'exemple de l'initiative Provence Africa Connect, lancée par la métropole en 2020, par laquelle celle-ci renforce son positionnement de hub Europe-Afrique et aide tous les porteurs de projets liés à l'Afrique, start-up, entreprises ou associations. Quant au département, je me réjouis qu'il ait invité à ce 7e sommet Emerging Valley une délégation kenyane d'athlètes et de membres du comité olympique. C'est pour moi un très beau témoignage de reconnaissance alors que le comité olympique kényan a choisi la Provence et en particulier les installations sportives de Miramas pour venir s'entraîner en amont des Jeux olympiques de l'été prochain. Ces Jeux seront, je n'en doute pas, un moment de communion entre tous les continents dans un esprit de respect, d'amitié et d'excellence qui caractérise le sport. Je pense aussi à l'établissement public d'aménagement Euro-Méditerranée, présidé par Laure Agnès Karadec, et à son concours MED Innovant, très porté sur la tech africaine et le rôle que celle-ci peut jouer dans l'aménagement des villes durables ou encore de la lutte contre le changement climatique. Je pense enfin à la ville de Marseille, bien sûr, représentée aujourd'hui par sa première adjointe, Michèle Rubirola. La municipalité, je le sais, vient de remporter un grand succès national sur le plan des industries culturelles et créatives. Elle confirme là son admirable capacité à construire des ponts culturels entre nos deux continents. Finalement, tout cela s'inscrit dans la droite ligne de l'ambition que porte sur ces questions, à l'échelle nationale, le président de la République. Je m'en réjouis sincèrement. Cette ambition, c'est celle de refonder le partenariat Afrique-France au travers de l'économie, dans le domaine du numérique plus spécifiquement, et misant sur les nouvelles générations, la diaspora africaine et les liens culturels. Je reviens moi-même du Nigeria, je serai la semaine prochaine en Afrique du Sud, j'étais un peu plus tôt cette année au Kenya ou en Tanzanie, l'année passée au Cameroun, au Bénin, en Côte d'Ivoire, en Algérie, au Maroc. Et je salue ici chaleureusement la présence du Premier ministre ivoirien, Robert BEUGRÉ, dans vos rangs. Dans chacun de ces pays, j'ai pu constater que les opportunités de coopération sont immenses. En France, en Europe et partout sur le continent africain, l'esprit d'innovation de nos jeunesses et leur volonté d'aller de l'avant au service du progrès humain sont tout simplement remarquables. Nous devons finalement saisir ce momentum pour affermir nos partenariats, consolider nos échanges, créer de part et d'autre de la Méditerranée une croissance fondée sur l'innovation et une richesse profitable à tous. Encore une fois, merci à vous toutes et à vous tous de votre engagement au service de cette noble cause. Je vous souhaite à toutes et à tous un excellent sommet.
Merci.
Thank you. As Minister BECHT mentioned, we have an exceptional privilege to have a special keynote speech given by His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Côte d'Ivoire, Robert BEUGRÉ MAMBÉ, who will be speaking to you about European and African youth, as well as the future of our relationships through innovation. So please put your hands together. And we're going to hand over to Mr. BEUGRÉ MAMBÉ. Dear European and African friends, in 2050, Africa will have over 2 billion inhabitants, and Europe will be about 5 million inhabitants, 500 million in Europe inhabitants. So what is so special about us? Europe has a very strong economy. Of course, we know that Europe has conquered the world through technology and science, as well as the development of its ideas. Africa, traditionally speaking, has citizens, has men and women on the ground. Africa has its culture, which is based on respect of everyone who can contribute and give value to humans. But Africa also has natural resources. It is perhaps the richest continent with regard to natural resources in the world. But Africa also has a very young population. Almost 3/4 of the population in Africa is young, so under 35 years old. Therefore, there is a high value in its demographics. But we have to know how to make use of this resource. When we combine these resources between Africa and Europe, wouldn't it be beneficial for everyone to work together? That is the question. If we think, after having done an analysis, that Africa is the future of Europe, political analysts know certain things, but the economists know things too. Not forgetting scientists, because at the end of the day, each continent would benefit from this partnership by working together. Future generations would be grateful for us having anticipated this partnership as of now. Therefore, we must not waste time. Africa and other continents should also create partnerships, be they in Asia or America or elsewhere. In just 30 minutes, you can go from Morocco to Spain. So what are we waiting for? We are waiting for our chance. We are waiting for things to take off. Long live the population of Africa and Europe, because we must be intelligent. And we have been intelligent, and if we continue to be intelligent, then future generations will be grateful for this effort.
Merci.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister, for this very inspiring keynote speech. We should set the tone for the 7th edition. What are we waiting for to strengthen our cooperation between Europe and Africa? Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. We are almost done with the first session. Please give a round of applause for local elected representatives. And now comes a very special moment this morning with the keynote speech of His Excellency Jawed Ashraf, Indian Ambassador to France.
Mr. Ambassador, so just to, pour exceptionnellement, je vais parler en anglais parce que nous avons la chance et l'honneur d'avoir l'ambassadeur d'Inde avec nous, so I will switch to English. Mr. Ambassador Jawed Ashraf, we will talk for a few minutes about the leadership of India in terms of innovation on the global stage. India has seen a steady and strong rise in the tech and startup industry. It is today the world's first largest ecosystem. Can you please elaborate on that?
Well, thank you, Abdul Karim Samir, Deputy Mayor Laurent LHARDIT, I think I've got your name right, to the Metropolitan Councillor Vincent LANGUILLE, and to all the people present here. Thank you for inviting me here first. It's an absolutely superb campus. It's a beautiful campus. And coming from Paris, the light here is very different. I think it is just the light you need for innovation and ideas. And when I think of Marseille, when I think of this region in general, why I think it is also going to be the future of innovation is because if you see throughout the world, innovation centers usually develop away from national capitals. Because national capitals is about government, regulation, big business, big places. You need to have that freedom of thought, freedom of thinking, risk-taking, which I think Marseille has. I wanted to mention to everyone here that we will soon be opening a consulate in Marseille. Marseille will...
On peut applaudir.
And actually, I'd also like to shift from Paris to Marseille, but they won't let me do that. But also that there are many other connections coming up. We've just at G20 announced the India, Middle East, Europe corridor, which will be a big infrastructure and logistics corridor, which will start in India and terminate in Marseille. There will also be the big submarine cable, the digital highways of today and tomorrow, which will start from India and end in Marseille. So there's so many ways in which I see a great future for Marseille, and which is why we preferred it over Lyon and other cities. But to come to your point, I would say, and there is a lesson in it, one, of course, is that we are a country of 1.4 billion people. Now, 1.4 billion people is like the size of Africa as a continent. And we have all the problems, all the challenges of the world to solve. So digital technology in many ways has opened that possibility. And I think the government's approach has been that how do we use digital technology to achieve public policy goals, social inclusion, economic empowerment, and accelerating growth. So when we today speak of India as a startup, third largest startup ecosystem, 110,000 registered startups, 111 unicorns with a valuation of $360 billion, 5 of them above $10 billion in just 3-4 years. One, of course, is that we offer scale. I mean, there is a country of 1.4 billion people, as I said. Second is that we have a very large youth population, and which is why when I see so many young people here, gives you a great sense of encouragement. Median age of India is 28. 50% of the people are below 30 years of age. But it's also the fact that India already has a very big tech base. 40% of all global capability center, 40% of all global capability center are located in India. We produce 2.25 million engineers everywhere. It's still a dream to be engineer rather than civil servants. And startup culture has caught on. It is incredible how the best engineering colleges, the students don't take up jobs with big companies, but want to try their luck at startups. That's one. The second is the policy of the government. We've created a very large and elaborate system of what we call Startup India at the national level, and startups by each of the federating states, like you have a metropole region here or a department or the region. So we've created in each of the 28 states startup ecosystems. There's liberal tax benefits, including tax benefits if you sell your shares at high valuation, which is very important for startups. We have also a government policy, for example, of fund of funds, which is very, very useful. And all of government programs run on open API guidelines. We have absolutely no proprietary control on that. When you have open API guidelines, you are able to then foster a climate of innovation. Government has 2,400 services on a platform called Umang, 2,400 services. Anyone can then innovate around it, and I'll come to the DPI later. And then, of course, you know, this whole policy of financial inclusion, digitalization of payment, promotion of e-commerce, all of that has created an environment of ecos. Infrastructure. Can you believe 250,000 village councils are being connected by fiber optic network? That's 600,000 kilometers of broadband already laid and many more to come. That's just one example. 1.2 billion cell phone users, 1.2 billion digital identities, 750 million smartphones, 900 million internet connections. All of this infrastructure is creating that base for this innovation. And I finally, it's a point that I, of course, alluded to, is the, probably the largest digital public infrastructure that fosters a climate of innovation in the country.
Thank you very much. On peut vraiment applaudir.
Please give a round of applause to His Excellency. Thank you for your vision.
Sector that has unlocked innovation in the private sector. And you probably mentioned the digital public infrastructure, and that is one of the main important factor approach of India in building the digital public infrastructure. According to you, how is India exploring opportunities for collaboration with other countries and outsourcing the success in digital innovation they have had, including in Europe and Africa? And what are the places where India, Europe, and Africa can collaborate?
Well, I think first I wanted to make a point here that, you know, there is three ways in which you can advance the vision of internet, right? Or applications of internet. One is that it's state-controlled, as it is in China or Russia. Or it is run by big tech, as it is in the case of the US, which today perhaps have higher concentration of power than most powerful states in the world. And the third vision is that it is public in nature. Free, open, inclusive, accessible to all. And that is the vision that India and Europe share. And that is the foundation on which the partnership between India and France in particular has advanced in the course of the past 2 years or 3 years on digital public infrastructure, on public internet. And I think this philosophical convergence is extremely important, far more than technical sophistication, because once your philosophies are aligned, how you want this to evolve, how you want artificial intelligence to be a force of good in the world, then you are able to take this forward. Now, India's digital public infrastructure is neither owned by the state nor by the big tech. It is sovereign, it is independent, open, inclusive, democratic, and it is built through a network of institutions, open source software, regulations, and that foster a climate of innovation and market. We've also got a data policy which is very similar to the European data policy. It's important both in the way you use your data, but also in the way you can empower people. So it is about privacy, security, ownership, consent, but it is also about unlocking the power of data for delivering services to the people. And that has been India's great success. That is, we have an architecture called Data Empowerment and Protection Architecture. We have a techno-legal solution. You have a GDPR, which is more regulatory in nature. We have the Digital Data Protection Act, but we have also injected in it an architecture which provides a technical solution to back the regulatory enforcement. So we have been able to unlock this power of data. For example, when we had COVID, we were able to use digital public infrastructure to deliver free food to 800 million people. 800 million people every day, every month. Similarly, we have now onboarded 600 million people on our national digital health program in a course of 2 years. I mean, I can go on, and we have 46% of world's digital payment taking place in India today, where even the vendor does it, and there are many more examples. Now, I think we are able to work on this with France. You know that we have a program, a bilateral initiative called INFRA, India-France Structures. And this is how we have been able to identify 10 to 11 projects on using digital public infrastructure for common good. Now, when it comes to how do we collaborate together, I think this philosophical understanding of how we want this internet to be, to reflect our political and social values, is the foundation. With France and with Europe, we have cooperation ranging from artificial intelligence and quantum computing all the way down to digital public infrastructure. We were the country of the year at Viva Tech last year, etc. With Africa, you know, in 2016, I started a project with UN for digital identity to create a digital credentials registry, which is the foundation of service. Anyway, because we were preoccupied with expanding our own thing, which it didn't quite work out. But today in Africa, we are present in 48 countries as with embassies. We have $100 billion of trade, $80 billion of investments, 208 projects implemented. And we are now working with a number of countries on digital public infrastructure and on innovation to solve problems, whether they are related to education, to health, to food security, to livelihood, microfinance, translating it from collateral-based to risk-based. Only data can do that. And this is the big transformation in bringing about a surge of livelihood. So this is the way we are working with Africa. Now, how do we, in a sense, take this forward? As you know, that in G20, we did two things. Africa Union is now a member of G20. During India's presidency in September, they were invited and they became members. The second is that we have developed in India, for example, we are working on AI tools for the global south, principally driven by the desire to export our experience in solving similar problems that Africa faces, using digital technologies and artificial technologies to not to export, but to empower people in Africa to be their own innovators. Now, where does Marseille come into all this? And where does Europe come into all this? You know, we already have an excellent digital partnership with France, maybe also, and also with EU. We have excellent partnership now with many countries in Africa. What does Marseille bring? One is, of course, language. You know, there is a Francophone Africa. Second, proximity. Third, you already have an excellent infrastructure. And what we now need to do is to be able to attract Indian startups, Indian innovators over here, and then bring the African, well, let's say the institutions that promote startups, incubators, accelerators, government agencies, but also the excellent range of innovators and startups in Africa. They're fantastic. I mean, Kenya is here. M-Pesa was such a great success story, but that's not the only one. There are many more success stories over there. So you need to bring them here. We can support that endeavor and then create this conversation, because it is only when you bring people together, virtually or physically, preferably physically, in a setup like this, that you are able to explore opportunities and ideas. By the way, during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit as guest of honor for the French National Day in July, in the Horizon 2047, one of the pillars is digital partnership, one of the main pillars. And one of them ideas we worked on is India-France Fund for Innovation in Third Countries. Now, that is at the moment for Indo-Pacific, but Africa will be very much part of it. The idea is, how do India and France bring funding, expertise, and mentorship to support specific innovations, whether it is on climate change, clean energy, health, education, livelihood, rural development, microfinance. There are so many areas in which we can address both challenges and create opportunities using the power of digital technology. And so we need to work at practical steps to be able to realize that, and we would be very happy to work with you on that.
Thank you very much. Je vous demande vraiment d'applaudir.
Please give a round of applause to the Indian ambassador to France. Thank you for your vision. Thank you.
For the future, your vision for the future, and it's a great plan to move forward. Thank you.
Let me just add one last point, and this is critical. You know, why I'm passionate about this and why we are passionate about this is that we are at the stage, and this is the last point, and this is important for all of us and for the youth to understand. After about 300 years of the industrial age, we are entering into the information age, the artificial intelligence age. This is we are at a fork. We can either create a world which becomes more divided, more unequal, because the power of technology, the expertise rests with few, or we can use the power of this technology to create a more equitable world in which we can address challenges and make sure that the vast majority of the world, which is not yet equipped with this technology or the benefits of this technology, can benefit from it and can address both the issues of education and health and agriculture, food security, energy security, but also propel themselves on the path of development to create a more, as I said, a harmonious, more equal a world in which all countries can rise together on the tide of opportunities. This is the power of digital technology, which we didn't have. Scale and speed was unimaginable at which we can deliver services. And this is where I think a partnership between India and France, where it is anchored here, can be a force of good for this broader vision that our leaders also share. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador.